Oh, man. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Wow. Oh, the heck with the speech. I don't need to do a speech. Thank you guys so much. Hello, Arizona. Unbelievable. Look at this crowd. It's amazing. This is all the way up to the rafters, by the way. All the way up. Look at that up there. Hey, everybody. Oh man, President Trump, we're going to blow his mind today. This is amazing. Thank you. Wow, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm speechless. I'm speechless for the first time in my life. I'm speechless. The fake news media probably likes the thought of me being speechless. But I'm about to get wound up. Is that okay? We don't need to bus people in. We don't need free concerts. We're here because we love America. Oh, I think I want to speak to my old friends in the fake news because, you know what's funny? They've been trying to say specifically that in Arizona, the MAGA movement is dying. Do me a favor, let's let those guys back there in the fake news know that MAGA is alive and well in Arizona. Let them hear it. Oh, it's funny. It's actually pretty funny. It's actually pretty funny because they're saying that MAGA is dying, but you know what's dying right before our eyes? The fake news is dying and the propaganda. They're made up narratives combined with their bogus polls in their attempt to take the oxygen out of this movement. There is no suppressing MAGA. You can't suppress us. So we're not going to let them take this amazing energy in this arena out. We've got to turn them off. Are you okay with that? Turn them off. Turn the TV off. Get rid of your subscriptions if you're still getting the newspaper, because it's not worth it. We need this energy for the next 2.5 months, and we can't let any of it die down. So, by the way, thank you for the beautiful happy birthday song. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. It was 55 years ago. Thank you. Oh, we got the rowdy ones over here. Oh, man. Okay, 55 years ago, in the summer of '69, my mom, Sheila, delivered her 9th and final baby, yours truly. I wish that that my mom and my dad were alive right now to see this. I really do. My mom was a nurse. My dad was a very successful head football coach. And I will tell you this, speaking of football coaches, we've heard a lot about them lately. Coach Larry Lake supplied the young men that he was coaching with helmets and shoulder pads. Unlike this assistant coach, Tim Walls, who supplied his young men with tampons and maxi pads. What the hell? What the hell? That is the most absurd and twisted thing I've ever heard. I do know though, if my parents were alive today, they would be right up here in the front row, right by my daughter. And they would be cheering me on with a MAGA hat and a Kari Lakes for U.S. Senate t-shirt to help celebrate my birthday. I really know that. So today I am officially, once again, 29 years old. But I somehow have 55 years of experience under my belt. No, but really, in all seriousness, there's no place I would rather be than right here with all of you on this day, and with the greatest president in the history of this country, Donald J. Trump. I'm worried we're going to wear out our energy. We got to save some of this because the man you're here to see is coming up next. So I have to tell you a story, okay? This is actually the second birthday that I have spent with President Trump. On this day 3 years ago, I spent my 52nd birthday in New York City. Now, of course, I'd met President Trump before. In my previous life, when I was working in the news, I had the privilege of interviewing President Trump when I was one of the last remaining fair and honest journalists. But this time, a few years ago, I got to connect with him for the first time in my new life in politics, and it was an experience I'll never forget. I was at Trump Tower. I took that famous golden escalator up. I hopped onto a golden elevator and shot up to the 26th floor of the beautiful Trump Tower in Manhattan. And as I was looking out on that skyline, much of which, contrary to a well-known politician who said, "You didn't build that," Donald Trump had indeed built that, a big part of the skyline of New York. And I thought to myself, so is this what Frank Sinatra sang about in New York, New York? This was Trump Tower, this was New York City. If we could make it there, you can make it anywhere. Jeff and I were there. We were led into his office, and behind a large, beautiful desk sat a larger-than-life Donald J. Trump. He welcomed us. And immediately we launched into a recap, and he remembered a recap of a Turning Point event that we had both attended about a month earlier. And he talked about the huge, loud, incredible, warm applause that I had received when he called out my name from you, the people of Arizona. And he said to me, I'll never forget it. He said, "Kari, that wasn't a poll that you hire a pollster to do. That was a real poll. That was the people telling me who they support." Right? And then he began asking a few questions about how the campaign was going, polling, about policy. And I'll be honest, I was able to answer all of them with no problem, except one. A very important question that took Jeff and me completely off guard. And my husband, I don't know where he is. Are you out here, Jeff, somewhere? Come here, hon. Say hi to Jeff, please. Do you remember what the president asked us?
He asked us how long we'd been married.
That's what stumped us. Jeff forgot. And to Jeff's benefit, I also forgot. Now, we turned to each other and we started counting and doing the math, and we came up with the the figure 23 years. So we'll never get that wrong again, will we? I love you. I love this man. Thanks, hon. 3 weeks ago, Jeff and I celebrated our 26th anniversary. It feels like the first year, doesn't it? So let me get through this story. So what was supposed to be a 15-minute meeting had turned into an hour-long conversation with Donald Trump. At the end of it all, the president rose, he shook our hands, he told me he would support me and endorse me. It was the greatest birthday gift I'd ever received. Really great. So, long story long, I spent my 52nd birthday in New York City with the greatest president. I'm spending my 55th birthday here in Glendale with all of you and the greatest president. And Arizona, I look forward to spending my 56th birthday in Washington, D.C. with the greatest president representing you, the greatest people in the entire country. Decades ago, like many of you, on my 18th birthday, I registered as a Republican, inspired by a man named President Ronald Reagan, whose very powerful words still guide us. I think one of his most famous speeches, he said, "You and I have a rendezvous with destiny. We'll preserve for our children this, the last best hope of man on earth, or we'll sentence them to take the last step into 1,000 years of darkness." That speech was called A Time for Choosing. And that's exactly where we stand at this moment. We're at a crossroads and we have a choice right now. We either save this country and our best days are ahead of us, or we plunge into 1,000 years of darkness. Guys, we're gonna save this country. Ronald Reagan spoke those words on behalf, did you know this? He spoke those words on behalf of Arizona's favorite son, Senator Barry Goldwater, a man whose Senate seat I would be honored to fill. I really would. The media, you know, back then the media called him extreme. The media called Reagan extreme. They called Trump extreme. They call me extreme. And they call each and every one of you extreme. Yep. Because we are on to their corrupt system. Can you imagine? Can you imagine calling a middle-aged mom like me a far-right extremist? She said, "We love it." You know what? So far, I have been right about everything. And the only extreme thing about us and me is that I'm extremely worried about my children's future. I am. I'm extremely worried about what my opponent, Ruben Gallego, will do to the state that we love. I'm running against the most radical man to ever run for office in Arizona history. Have you seen Ruben's commercials? Honestly, they should come with a laugh track because they are an absolute joke. They really are. For a decade in Congress, this man was a card-carrying member of the Progressive Caucus, a man actually to the left of Bernie Sanders and to the left of the Squad. And now he's bombarding our airwaves with ads meant to make him look like a cross between Mr. Rogers and G.I. Joe. When in reality, he's just Nancy Pelosi with a scruffy beard. Now, guys, if you don't mind it, I'm about to lay out some hard truths about my opponent, Ruben Gallego. And I'm not telling you this to be mean, I'm really not. I'm telling you this because the people have got to know before they vote who this guy is. His ads leave out a whole lot of despicable treatment of women. His ads don't tell you that about the time that he harassed and threatened a 20-year-old female intern, and when she complained about it, she was fired. His ads don't tell you about the fact that his fellow Democrats down at the state legislature gave him the nickname the Troll because of how creepy and degrading he was with women. And his ads don't tell you about the time he told a Latina woman that because she was a Republican, she wasn't a real Latina. Can I hear it for our incredible conservative Latina women? We got a house full, including my daughter right down there. His ads don't tell you, frankly, about the most unforgivable act against a woman. When he walked out on his pregnant wife, when she was 9 months pregnant, days before she delivered their firstborn child, he served her papers and he ran off to sleep with a DC lobbyist. That's despicable. I can promise you, if Ruben Gallego will abandon his family to jump in bed with a lobbyist, he will abandon Arizona in favor of DC lobbyists every single vote. If his treatment of women isn't enough to keep him out of the US Senate, then his voting record ought to be. I want to talk about his votes. He supports open borders. He told donors, this is actually shocking, he told donors when it comes to the border, it's not his expertise. He called the border wall, which is keeping us safe in some areas, dumb and stupid. And he voted against the SAVE Act. That means he wants millions of illegals to vote in this upcoming November election. Bad idea, Ruben. He voted for sanctuary cities. He supports amnesty. He's weak on law and order. I don't even think he likes our police officers. He actually called them the bad guys. He did. The direct quote, in case the media wants to, fact check me, he said the bad guys are the ones behind the police line. How dare you, Ruben? How dare you? He marched and defund the police rallies, and then he threatened ICE agents. He's weak on the economy. He voted for legislation that resulted in this 40-year high inflation. That's why we can't afford anything. And when it came to the very short period of time that he worked in the private sector, he was a director for a bank that built immigrant families out of their life savings. And another company he worked for under federal investigation during Ruben's time for Medicare fraud. Guys, I'm telling you all this because the fake news media won't cover him.